That's all y'all really want to promote is lies. That's the big issue that we have. Elon Musk boosted false U.S. aid conspiracy theories to shut down global aid. Now, while he was boosting those lies about U.S. aid, because that's all y'all really want to promote is lies. That's the big issue that we have. Elon Musk boosted false U.S. aid conspiracy theories to shut down global aid. Now, while he was boosting those lies about U.S. aid, and he was stopping money going for, say, things such as Head Start, somehow the only money that didn't stop was the money to him and his organization. Now, I don't know how you can have him be the watchdog as well as the guy that is literally living off of the government. If we want to talk about government welfare, it looks like Elon Musk, because it's my understanding that just on yesterday, a new contract was approved for approximately $300 million for Elon Musk. So listen, I just want y'all to be honest. You want to sit here, you want to lie, because so often we hear, well, yeah, we did lie. In fact, he admitted that he lied when he was in the Oval Office yesterday. But if it's a lie that will get you into office, such as saying, I know nothing about Project 2025, yet on day one, you literally do everything that you can to implement it, including making sure that you put, say, one of the main architects of Project 2025 over the OMB, it's okay, so long as you get the power that you seek. The problem is that the game is going to be on the American people. And when I say the American people, I mean all of us. Unfortunately, I am also stuck in the twilight zone because of the lies that were allowed to be propagated. Just like when you're talking about vaccines and all this nonsense. Right now in my state of Texas, there is an outbreak of measles. And what they are finding is that because there's been so much disinformation about vaccines, that kids are sick right now with measles that they did not have to have if they just trusted doctors and experts instead of randoms online. So I will end by saying, we'll get you into office, such as say.
Welcome to Let It Be Known News. I get the feeling that Niel enjoyed that presentation from the one and only Representative Jasmine Crockett.
I did. I truly did. I need somebody to speak truth to power. I need somebody to be unapologetic and not afraid, because nobody is being polite to the American people.
Oh, and here's the thing, and her one of her points there is like, okay, it's really nothing we can do about it, nothing she can really do about it except for bring it to light. But what she's saying to her Republican colleagues, those cowards, is just admit it. Just be upfront with it. This is what we're doing. You lied about Project 2024. We all knew you were lying. Why not just say yes? What were you afraid of? Because you had all the white supremacists behind you. You had all the white nationalists behind you. You had all the racists behind you. And you also had Elon Musk pouring in hundreds of millions of dollars to make sure the election went your way.
And allegedly working on the ballot machines. Let's not forget that alleged
100%.
We're gonna talk about it here.
Yeah, and so what Jasmine Crockett, the one that really has the backbone of any politician, regardless of whatever side you are on, whether you Democrat or Republican, she's the only one. Trump, Musk, MAGA Mike, and the House Speaker, and the rest of them, they lie to your face. They don't tell you the truth. And Jasmine Crockett, and on the other side, you get the other side, speaking half truths or scared to speak or just hopeless, sounding hopeless or helpless. But Jasmine Crockett is like, listen, it is what it is. Just be honest to the American people. These are people that you're supposed to be serving.
I also think that the media tends to pick who they want to uplift. I think that there are a lot of members of Congress. I think Minority Speaker Hakeem Jeffries, he speaks truth to power. but it's only those who they decide that they want to blast a talking point on. And when you look at mainstream media, but Rep Ayanna Presley, Rep Sidney Kamlager, what's McIver out of New Jersey,
Yes.
Rep Maxine Waters. There are a lot of
Yes.
people speaking truth to power,
But here's the problem, Neil.
Jasmine gets the viral moments.
Well, and here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. They do, and you're 100% right. I agree with all those you mentioned. You can throw, of course, my girl AOC in there. But here's the
Mhm.
problem. Jasmine makes sure it's not. I don't. This is where I disagree with you. I don't think it's the mainstream media that's blasting her out, and giving her this platform. I think she's seizing the platform. I think she's like, yeah, I'm gonna be heard. And I
Mhm.
think they need to take that route, that they need to say, I'm going to be heard. And she
Well,
has
they're
such a
trying. They're
following.
trying. They're trying, but we love Jasmine, and it's nothing. It's like Auntie Maxine. You know,
Mhm,
we just there's something about her that resonates with the commonality of people, and
mhm,
there's something about her that mainstream media likes. But that's just been how like Black people are treated in the industry, period, from music
mhm,
to movies. It's a lot of great
mhm.
actresses, but there's
Yeah,
only a couple that's gonna break through. There's a lot of, you know what I'm
that's
saying?
true.
There's a lot of look how long it took Beyonce to get an album of the year. So I just, you know what I'm saying?
Gotta
So
have
it's
our
not,
Beyonce reference, like we have
you
our
know what I'm
coffee.
just saying? In totality, they pick and choose who they want to. But to your point, Jasmine is seizing the moment, as she
Mhm.
should. But I just
And
feel like they're suppressing our voice.
I will, yeah, and I agree. Summer Lee is another one, and Greer believes that she's the reason why they are propping her up is because she's the representation of the angry Black woman.
The ha, ha, ha. They like to paint us that way, okay? They
Mhm.
love that.
Yeah.
That's a great
But
point, Greer.
but what steps out of that stereotype, because it's a stereotype, black women are not angry all the time and whatever. We know that.
You're not.
But what separates her from the stereotype is how intelligent everything. It's like watching Muhammad Ali in a way. Like Muhammad
Mm,
Ali, and I'm not just talking about him boasting about his boxing prowess. I'm talking
mhm.
about when he sits down to talk social justice, when he sat down to talk social justice, when he sat down, in front of the cameras to talk about the plight of the Black person in America. I mean, you talk about somebody who grabbed your attention and was extremely articulate and poetic, of course. Jasmine is the same. We remember the whole. Nobody's gonna forget the whole. The what was it? The Butch whatever.
Bad butch, bad built
Right,
body.
right.
And the
Um,
child, child. I think
eh,
it's the commonality in Jasmine. Like we can resonate. Like she knows how to use big words. She knows how to do it in the
mhm,
courtroom, but she's able to articulate herself to where, you know how sometimes you say, talk to me like I'm a third grader.
yeah,
She knows how to talk to us. She knows what
yeah.
we want to hear. And I think she broke the ceiling of being docile, meek, and mild. Like
Mhm,
that Langston Hughes poem, Negroes, docile, meek, and mild. God fear the day they changed their mind. Well, she changed her mind, okay? And she's breaking it down. And that's why we love her. And she's giving other members the courage to, resist.
yeah. What's your question? Totally off topic. Totally off topic because I just my eye just went to an email. I get an everyday email from the United States Postal Service, right?
Okay.
That tells me what's coming in the mail today, right? And it gives you a picture of what's coming in the mail, right? But the problem is, like, you see what's coming in the mail, and it's like 7:45 a.m. and I'm looking at the bills that are coming. I mean,
No,
should
you
I
didn't
just
stop
stop
the
the
show to talk
service?
about your bills.
Should I just stop the service? Because it's annoying at 7:45 in the morning to know that some bill is coming. That's I mean, no checks coming in the mail anymore. You get direct deposit. So what am
Well,
I
the
looking
person,
for?
Well, be careful what you ask for, because the way Elon Musk and Donald Trump are chopping jobs, you might not be getting that email no more because nobody will be there to do it.
Oh
Chop, chop,
gosh.
chop, chop, chop.
Chop. Yeah, just chop. Oh gosh. You're
And
absolutely
it's
right.
funny. That's serious though. My heart, the one thing that's breaking my heart more than anything are all these people losing their jobs.
It's just it's horrible. Now, I mean, there's several things to go along with that this morning. And you mentioned before we went on the air, we were talking about this, how the Trump administration is forcing out senior leadership at the National Archives and Records Administration. Um, eh, that is why you bother the National Archives?
Well, because it's two things. It's and this is what we have to pay attention to this Trump administration. There's two things
Mhm.
going on. There's Donald Trump's agenda, which is petty, and then there's Project 2025, which is to preserve white supremacy in America.
Yep.
So on one hand, the individuals that resigned because they told them, if you don't resign, we're gonna fire you in a week, are the two individuals that had the FBI and the DOJ bring charges against Donald Trump for the classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. So
Yeah, there you go.
those two top individuals were the ones that told him to give back the classified information. When he didn't, they got the FBI involved
Yep.
and the Department of Justice to bring about those charges. So that's why Donald Trump wants them gone. Project 2025 wants the office because it holds all of the American history, from documentation on slavery, from all
Yep.
the presidential libraries. Let's pay attention, because we don't know how this is going to impact Obama's presidential library.
Yeah,
All
and
Go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say, Inferno 932 writes that it's a revenge tour, among other
Mm-hmm.
things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, and look at this. Advantage Evans FinTech Academy writes in that Operation Petty plus the Deadly Series 2025 Project 2025. Absolutely. And we got a great guest later this morning to talk even more about stuff like this and what black people might want to consider. And really the theme is what would Harriet do? We're going to be talking to JOTAKA Eddie this morning. So that should be
Right.
a
And,
really
and,
great
and we're
conversation.
going to talk to her about this whole 92% of Black women. I'm one of them. And she led the first call, 44,000. She lit a match that started a fire. And now some of us are like, let it burn. Let it
Let
burn. So we're going
this
to
is
talk,
like the third reference to Let It Burn that Neil has made in the past week.
because that's how a lot of people still feel. And like I said, I'm on the fence. Some days I'm like, forget about all of it. And then some days it's like, who's going to protect the future generation? Who's going to let them know? If it's
Yeah,
not us, we surely don't want it to be Donald Trump and Project 2025.
yeah, tell me about it. And here's something else. Top Social Security official has quit, refusing a request from Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency to access sensitive government records. And so now, the focus on Social Security now, and the Internal Revenue Service is another one. They're
Mhm.
preparing to give a team member working with Elon Musk um, access to sensitive taxpayer data. Um, this is just this has spun entirely out of control and extremely quick.
And it's happening so fast. I don't think people understand the severity of what's happening. And if you look at what happened in the first administration, what's happening now is they don't want the insiders leaking information. So
Hmm.
the approach is totally different. A lot of time, last administration, there were a lot of leaks because of career federal workers who were nonpartisan. Sometimes they were Republicans, but
Right,
now they're smarter and they're just gutting everybody.
right.
Nobody's telling nothing.
Yeah, and so this information that they are accessing at the IRS and Social Security uh, are everyone's, not just a few, but everyone's Social Security numbers, their addresses, their banking details, their employment information. Um, this is to say it's serious is an understatement. ORNG says Black people better get off their butts, do physical exercise, and practice marksmanship. Um, Quinn says during his meeting, the Secretary of Transportation acknowledged projects that have financial benefits to Elon's private business,
Mhm.
um, aerospace, tunnels, and highways. And so you see that somebody who actually works in along those fields, who's somewhat affected by what's going on, is telling us that they're having meetings about this and they're realizing, or at least admitting, that Elon's is benefiting from this directly.
Oh my gosh, he is, like Jasmine said, he is the king of welfare at this point. Okay. Shout out to Advantage Evans, FinTech Academy. She says, shout out to the 92%. Shout out, sis.
Shout
And she
out.
also says Operation Petty plus the Daily Serious Project 2020
Project 2025.
25. Woo.
Yeah. And here we are.
Process is to totally replace, like rip out like a tumor, the current American leadership class, and then reinstall some sense of American, political religion.
We need to rip it out like a tumor and then install political religion. The man who is interviewing J.D. Vance here gets very excited about this idea, and it leads, this is important here, it leads J.D. Vance to explain sort of influences on his thought, where he gets his ideas on subjects like this.
What other options do we have besides voting them out, which we're seeing is ineffectual?
Yeah. So again, this is like a tough question, but this is maybe the question that confronts us right now. There's this guy, Curtis Yarvin, who's written about some of these things.
Knowing chuckle there. There's this guy, Curtis Yarvin, who's written about some of these things. This is Curtis Yarvin, who J.D. Vance is citing here as he is talking about the need to, seize the universities, use the government to destroy businesses who aren't right wing. Talking about needing to rip out the American system like a tumor. Here's the guy he is citing as his sort of the source of his thinking on these matters.
What is government? A government is just a corporation which owns the country. Nothing more, nothing less. It so happens that our sovereign corporation is very poorly managed, and there's a very simple way to replace that, which is what we do to all corporations that have failed. We simply delete them. We haven't been able to do that with our government for 200 years. So it's gotten a little bit stale.
But what would that entail? Deleting the U.S. government?
The other thing about getting rid of your government is you can't just say, well, the limits of the government are the limits of the formal government. You have to say, well, what is the system actually? And it includes a lot of things that are called NGOs, things that are called universities, things that are funded by the state. It's a very, very large system, and it all needs to be destroyed. Fortunately, there's a lot of talented Americans who actually know how to run things and make things work and are generalists. And you can just get these people, put them in a position of responsibility and have them do their thing. And finally, you need a CEO, and a national CEO is what's called a dictator. It's the same thing. There's no difference between a CEO and a dictator. If Americans want to change their government, they're going to have to get over their dictator phobia.
If Americans want to change their government, they're going to have to get over their dictator phobia. This is where J.D. Vance's big ideas come from about where the country is heading for. Quote, Vance is friends with Curtis Yarvin, whom he openly cites as a political influence. Yarvin, the main political influence on all of the people who have supported J.D. Vance throughout his career, including paying to install him in the U.S. Senate.
So we know by now, and RNG is talking about immigration. He says he really doesn't care about immigration, but that was the big. And he says, why hasn't the Republican-led House and Senate passed immigration reform? because that was, and he knows it. That's why he's asking. That was the big, you know, hand trick there. You know, that 3-card Monty type thing, for lack of better thing. But that was the hiding your hand while you're throwing the rock, because they knew that folks was fascinated and fixated. They got folks fixated on immigration. Immigration has never been the problem that they made it out to be during the election. That was just something to run on, to cover the fact that they were really running on turning this place into a dictatorship. And immigration, they got people all worked up. I mean, I was so uh worked up myself when I would hear and talk to even Black people I knew who bought into, well, they're stealing our jobs. And the one guy, I'll never forget, that I know, he's a musician. And we were talking about this, and he goes, yeah, you know, they're stealing our jobs. Um, what job did an immigrant steal that you wanted? What job did an immigrant steal that your loved one wanted, your friend wanted? Couldn't answer. Couldn't answer. And you know, we're paying more tax. No, 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 no. Because in actuality, taxes, and every study and every true numbers have shown that immigrants causes
Mhm.
taxes to go down. Immigration has never been a problem. If it had been a problem, the Native Americans would still be running this country.
Well, I slightly disagree. I think this country does need immigration reform. Let's be clear. We do. We need
Why?
immigration
Why?
reform.
Explain to me why.
Because there has to be a more sensible way to have a process to having a right to citizenship here. You know, you can't. It's too many people here. I'm tired of traffic. Okay, it's
Okay, but
crazy.
that's not a reason. That's
But
not a
but
reason.
but
It's too many
listen,
people in New
I
York. I don't
believe.
want. Yeah, I mean, New York got 10
Listen.
million people.
The reality is, most people believe that there needs to be immigration reform, but there is a way.
Why?
Listen, there is a way to do it in decent and in order. The reality is, Barack Obama got rid of more immigrants than any president. But guess what? It was decent and in order, and then there was a better way to process intake of people coming over, and a more fair and just way to the process of citizenship in the United States. That's all I'm saying. But
All
for
I'm
me,
saying is, I'm
but
sorry. Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to say, to your point, I think it was a bigger play. Like I said, there's two things going on. It's Project 2025 and it's Donald Trump. Yes, they Project 2025 used immigration as fear. I think Donald Trump knew and had been talking to privatized prisons, Geo and Core Civic. And that is a way for them to make money. They're not making it off of Black folks no more. You know what I'm saying? We're the minorities of the minorities. So you can't keep locking us up. So who is the new pipeline to prison? Who is the new price tag to put on somebody's head to fill those beds in prisons? That's the game of privatized prisons. So I think that, yes, they were using it to scare people and to play on people's emotions, but I also think that Donald Trump and his clan got together and they were talking about ways to profit off of us, like we see
Without
now.
question.
And that's part of the reason why they used immigration reform. It's two things: Donald Trump, and then there's Project 2025. But I do
I
believe that we need immigration reform. I do,
okay.
but not this way. Not this way.
Yeah, not certainly not this way, but I also don't think that that should be a top priority. If someone illegal coming in and committing a crime, you get rid of them.
Right.
If they're not, if they are adding to the society, by working, by paying taxes, most of them stay under the radar. They're not getting social services. They're not getting these benefits that people had claimed that they were getting, because they stay under the radar.
But my
And I
question
just
is, why shouldn't they have a process to citizenship? You don't
They
think that they
should.
should?
No, no,
Okay.
no, they should. What I'm saying is this idea that these immigrants are bad people is ridiculous.
Oh no, absolutely not. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah, yeah.
And
I don't
that's
think that
really
they should
what
just
that
come over
mindset
here.
is.
I really don't think the shoe should just be coming over here illegally either.
Well, see, here's the thing. It shouldn't have to be, they shouldn't have to be snuck over here, in my view. If you want to come, you should be able to come. These white folks came, the Irish came, the Italians came, everybody came. They came on their own volition. They was welcome. That whole not Empire State, Statue of Liberty thing, we welcome you with open arms. We were the only folks they dragged over here, and they still treat us like we are second class, third class, fifth class citizens.
Right.
You should be able to go get a passport and go wherever you want in this world. These people are just insidiously racist. They're
Of course.
only attacking the Haitians. They're only attacking the Mexicans, those type of folks. They're not.
Absolutely right.
Trump has married immigrants, and they've gotten this. JD Vance the same way. They've gotten their citizenship because of their marriage, and that's the stuff that they're attacking too, which is ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
It's
there's
it's
definitely
hypocritical too.
a sense. There's definitely a sense of white privilege into who comes in here and who can't, which is totally unfair. And I think that anybody who wants to enter the United States should be able to, as long as they follow the process. That's what I'm saying about everything, like healthcare. Everything needs reform. I don't think that the immigration process has been reformed for decades. So everything should be reformed, but the way that the Trump administration is doing is reminiscent of white supremacist ways. And that is the gross part of what's happening in this country.
It is gross. It is absolutely gross. Our guest should be here shortly, but before we get to our special guest, 4 top New York City officials are expected to resign after the outgoing U.S. attorney for Manhattan accused the mayor of trading cooperation with President Trump's mass deportation agenda for a dismissal of his criminal indictment. And as we know, we talked a little bit about this previously, Governor Hochul is still trying to decide whether she should remove Mayor Adams. And these deputy mayors are in disarray, that what's going on with Mayor Adams. And this guy has really, really rocked New York City's world, Mayor Adams, with his actions.
I mean, he's part of the Trump clan. I mean, hey, he made a choice. He picked a side, okay? He picked a side, and just like the Trump administration, he's moving full steam ahead.
He's moving full steam ahead. You're absolutely right, and no shame in his game whatsoever. I mean, he is fast becoming the Byron Donalds of New York.
I mean, and think about it. What does he have to lose? Okay, he got rid of his court case. So even if he loses, he still wins. Even if he loses the mayor race, he still wins because he got his court case thrown out by the Trump DOJ. And who knows, he might pick up a job with the Trump administration. So even if he loses, he wins.
Well, it becomes like Greer said, and I had this conversation. In fact, my wife said the same thing that Greer is saying, basically, because Greer is saying that Eric Adams is now Trump's slave, which it's hard to argue with that at all. You really can't argue with that. But what she was saying was that Trump wants to put you in a situation, Black people and others, but Black people we were talking about, where you have no recourse but to get in a situation where he'll say, okay, I'm going to do this for you, but this is what I'm asking. It's like Satan the devil. It's like, what is Satan asking back from you?
It's like the apple. He's giving them the apple.
He, it's a dangerous proposition. And Eric Adams has embraced his slavery, put it that way. And real quick, a group of a class of civil servants across 9 federal agencies that were terminated by the Trump administration with no regard for the performance or conduct, but instead because of their probationary status due to their short tenure with the government, have filed a complaint with the Office of Special Counsel. The complaint is the first known of its kind and was brought before the Office of Special Counsel, Hampton Dillinger, who was recently reinstated to his position by a federal court after Trump attempted to fire him. So this is going to get really interesting because this is not by far not the only lawsuit on behalf of federal employees that's going on now. And we talked a little earlier about Judge Chutkan leaning toward siding with Elon Musk on some of this, even some of the determination. So it's gonna get real interesting, Neil.
Right. And it's not black and white. I've been looking at some of the federal workers, probationary workers that were let go. And one of them brought up a point of how some of the individuals that are on probation are really career federal workers and they just transfer to a new position. And so
Right.
every time you transfer to a new position, you're put on a 90-day probationary period. So they were let go, but they might have been working for the federal government for 10, 15, 20 years. They just transitioned to a new position. They're on probation and they lose their job. So it's not just, oh, these are just new hires.
Yeah.
So we can, no, there's so many nuances to this situation, just like them firing the people in the nuclear department and realizing, oh, we need them. We got to get them back.
Wait, they can't reach them.
They don't even know how. Okay, so it's a mess. It's a mess.
We laugh and it's not a laughing matter. But I laugh because this shows you sometimes if you don't laugh, you might wind up crying. But
or hollering like Marvin Gaye says, okay? It makes you want to holler.
Exactly. And as Shanae said, these are criminals posing as politicians. I didn't know this real quick, Neil, and maybe you knew this. I missed this. We were talking about Eric Adams, but Al Sharpton has publicly asked for him to be pardoned.
Well, he's been going to Al Sharpton's, I think he does like a Saturday meeting or something. I've seen Eric Adams in the meeting. So I'm past that.
So he's playing both sides, huh? What's his name? Adams. Adams is playing both sides.
I'm gonna walk on by. I'm gonna walk,
you gonna walk on by.
With that one, I'm gonna walk on by.
But you got to sing it though. Sing it.
That's not. I'm good at a lot of things, but I know my place.
Oh gosh, yeah. I guess we'll let that one go. I'm pretty sure that the Reverend Al will explain his reasons when necessary. But gosh, as I think Orange G brought out, somebody brought out anyway that Adams could still, it was Orange G, can still face ethic violations and state charges. So we'll see what happens there. But I know Governor Hochul is not happy with the situation. And okay, so Eric Adams was Sharpton's bodyguard. Remember, Eric Adams was also a police detective, right? But he was also once Sharpton's bodyguard too. So there's a connection, a direct connection there too. So, wow. Well, joining us this morning is a powerhouse strategist and social justice advocate known for her relentless work in voting rights, tech diversity, and Black women's empowerment. She is the founder and CEO of Win with Black Women, a movement that has mobilized millions and played a critical role in historic elections, recognized as the Olivia Pope of Silicon Valley. JOTAKA EADDY's influence spans from Washington, D.C. to boardrooms across the country. And later this month, congratulations, she's going to receive the NAACP Image Awards Social Justice Honor, renamed in tribute to civil rights leader Mildred Roxborough. Welcome to the Black Press's Let It Be Known.
Well, it's so great to be with the Black Press. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning. I know it is a lot to talk about this morning, so I want to jump right into our theme this morning, or one of our themes. If Harriet Tubman was alive today, what would she do in the face of Trump's America?
Oh man, that's I would imagine that she would have doubled down on the Underground Railroad. And for those who just were disillusioned, she would have left a lot of people right where they are. and taken everyone else who knew they needed liberation right on to freedom.
Byron Donalds, Clarence Thomas would have been left behind.
They would have all been left behind. People would have said, y'all can just stay right here where you at, because you don't know that you're not free. And she would have ushered us all out to freedom. She would have doubled. I would imagine in this day and age, though, she probably did a master class so that she could, she could create multiples of herself and be a force multiplier, and had like multiples of herself all spread out across the country, taking people to freedom.
Neil?
Well, I want to jump in here and just say thank you, first of all. Just thank you. 92% of Black women, because of people like you, like Glenda Carr at Higher Heights, Ashanti over at Emily's List, so many others, Bishop Leah Daltrey over at the Black Church Pack. So many of you just kind of guided us and just helped us uplift Black women, and we felt seen. But now we're in a state of 92% of Black women, half of them don't even want to be a part. They just want to sit this one out. What would you say to those Black women that are just like, not my problem? That's just not my problem.
Well, first of all, thank you. And I would say to those Black women, you got to do as you please. We are really in a space and a place where I think taking a rest and actually taking a moment of self-care is okay. I also do believe that those very women who want to sit out aren't just sitting out and saying, my hands are raised, I'm just going to just ignore everything. We as Black women, we unfortunately can't ignore what's happening in our country because we are so deeply impacted. I think some Black women are choosing to take and protect their energy and not focus on the outward and focus on the inward. They're going to take this time. They're going to focus on their children. They're going to focus on their families. They're going to focus on their businesses or the businesses in their community, which is still contributing to the greater good of moving us forward as a people. I was having a conversation just yesterday with Ben Crump, and we were just lamenting about how much is coming at us at one time. And what I said, and we were talking, I said, Ben, in this moment, we all have to play our position, because you can't be in this battle right now and think that you could take on every fight. Mentally, physically, we can't take it on. So how do you play your position, know what your role is, and trust and believe that the person on the field, on your team, is playing their position and they're doing their part and we're all working together. So if you could imagine, some people in this battle, their job is not external. They are not playing defense. Perhaps they're playing offense, and that offense may look like pouring into their children, pouring into their businesses, pouring into their communities. And that's okay, because we're going to need everybody playing position in this great battle that we're in.
Oh, yeah. Is there, JOTAKA, is there a modern Underground Railroad needed for Black progress today?
I think there is always a constant need for the iteration of the Underground Railroad. I don't think it ever stopped. I think it just took various different forms. What we knew was the Underground Railroad literally taking us to freedom. I think that there are still currents of Underground Railroad activity happening that is continuing to lead us to freedom. It looks very differently. I think that freedom, as Dr. Coretta Scott King often remind us, is not one in one generation. It's one in each and every generation. And so I think that's why it's important for us to understand what's in front of us and how we need to respond. And the response is, yes, it is a very fierce movement, sometimes overt, sometimes very private movement towards freedom, collective freedom, understanding, organizing, and ultimately our people being very united and very clear about what's at stake, but most importantly, what the work is, and that's collective freedom.
Well, as you
go ahead. I'm sorry.
You mentioned that they're throwing so much at us.
Yes.
What are you most concerned about? If you had to pick like the top 2 to 3 things, what are you most concerned about?
I think that I would be mostly, I come out of Silicon Valley. I was in civil rights, went to Silicon Valley. I come out of movement, but I spent a considerable amount of time in Silicon Valley. I'm deeply concerned with the access that one individual, one tech leader, entrepreneur has over our entire government and what appears to be our president. Whether or not you like Donald Trump or not, he is the president of the United States. And that office, that institution seems to be controlled by an outside individual that was not even born in this country. So the power that Elon Musk and Doge has over our government is extremely alarming because it is creating mass disruption. So I'm deeply concerned about that. I'm deeply concerned about the attack on our overall education system and what that means to programs for accessibility and education, special needs students, Head Start, all of these critical programs that help our children and our education system across the country thrive is being attacked. And wholeheartedly, I'm deeply concerned about HHS. We are just barely coming out of a global pandemic that was mismanaged by this very same administration. And now we have an HHS secretary who, is an anti-vaxxer, who has said explosive things about the bodies of Black people is deeply concerning. So I think there's just so much across the board, but the power that Doge has been given over the United States government is deeply alarming. And we as Americans should be, and this is not a Democratic issue nor a Republican issue. This is something that we as the American people should be deeply concerned and outraged by.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about win with Black women, and we know by now we all should know what Black women have done and continue to do, show them the load as they always have. But some Black men still seem to have this lure by this administration, by this president in particular, his false promises, his connection to hip hop, and his wealth. There still seems to be a lure for some Black men. How do we counter that con?
I think it continues to be the conversations, and I think it goes back to what does that overall strategy look like for us? How do we really get to freedom? Yes, there are going to be those that are fighting the opposition on the battlefield day in and day out. But there's also the inward work that we have to do in our community, and that's equally as important. And that starts with conversations in our families, conversations with our sons, with our partners, conversations with our brothers, and really first listening. And I think it's a lot of listening that we have to do with our brothers and our Black men, because some of them often feel not valued, not heard. And when you don't feel valued, or if you don't feel heard, then you will go to where there is a false perception that you are. And that is where we have seen a very targeted campaign on that very, very chasm that has happened. We have seen lies, we have seen manipulation, all of that come from the far right side to lead Black men to think that there's a home there for them. And if you look back at historically, and you are two great journalists and you know the history very well, historically, the way to tear down our people in the Black community has been to degrade the Black family, to depart and to separate the Black family from each other. So when you take Black men out of the households for whatever reason, and however, whether it is literally out of the household or mentally out of the household, you begin to tear down the nucleus of what is most important to our empowerment, and that is the collective of the Black family and Black people. And it's important for us to understand that and get back to us and get back to unity. And so I think it's conversations, but I think it's also important to lift up the power of Black men and women united. When we had that call on July 21st, Win with Black Women, and we had 44,000 on Zoom, another 50,000 people watching that Zoom. Many of them were Black men cheering us on. But the very next day, after we had gathered 90,000 people, mostly Black women, the very next day, it was Black men that came right behind us to help create that momentum with 55,000 Black men in support of Vice President Kamala Harris. And I think it's important to note that there are brothers that are out there. There are brothers that are standing lock in arms with Black women in support and in unity with Black women, because it's not really about Black women leading Black men or Black men leading. It's really about us being united as a people, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to survive.
Yeah, I think it's important to uplift that, Black men turned out 78 to 80%. And so as a Black community, we did what we were supposed to do at the election. I want to talk about Win with Black women and what's next and where do we go from here?
Well, Win with Black women, we still are here. We continue to meet. We have on average 3,000 to 4,000 Black women that are gathering on our calls on when we have our Sunday night calls. We continue to be here for 3 goals. Number 1, speaking out against racism and sexism anytime it is hurled against a Black woman in any sector, whether it's in politics or entertainment or sports. Number 2, working in our personal capacities to elect Black women up and down the ballot, because what we know is that there is a fierce and important need for representation of Black women across the board. So we need Black women in our local city councils. We need Black women in our state legislatures, in our government offices. And we also need Black women at the federal level, which I will note is that we have a historic number of Black women serving in the Congressional Black Caucus, fearless leaders that are the conscious of the Congress. And then third, it is important for us to lift up the collective power and image of Black women, and particularly that of Black women-led and centered organizations. And so that's the work that we continue to do. So you will continue to see us working to highlight Black women who are running for office. You'll continue to see us to speak out against blatant racism and sexism, and you'll continue to see us to help bring Black women together and to support Black women leading in joy, to support Black women-led and centered projects and works of art, whether it's a comedy or whether or not it's something, a drama on television, whether it's the 688, or whether it's The Little Mermaid or Origin. It's important to uplift the work that centers Black women and our power and our image.
I want to go back quickly to Harriet Tubman, because Harriet didn't negotiate with her oppressors. Are we wasting time trying to change the minds that won't change?
Well, my opinion on that is that, my grandmama always said, listen to someone the first time that they tell you who they are. And I am of the opinion that we have to, if somebody if they are focused on just staying where they are, just let them be. And we're going to go and do what we're going to do. And you're probably going to still benefit. But I just don't want to waste my time trying to convince you that you're not free when I'm sitting here looking at the shackles on your feet, your arms, your neck, and everything. And if you can't see it, then why am I going to waste time when there are all these other folks over here that are ready to move forward and be free? And I ultimately believe that taking that time, I don't think we abandon necessarily, but I'm not also of the mindset that we got to pull them kicking and screaming and throw them in the trunk and try to drive them over to freedom. You can just stay right there. When we get to freedom and the land is better, you'll be a beneficiary of that as well.
You brought
like
up
that.
Black Joy. You brought up Black Joy, and we know you have to go, but I wanted to talk about the flowers that you're receiving. Just do, because you deserve to smile, and so let's start with Stacey mentioned the NAACP awards coming up this weekend. You'll be receiving the Social Justice Award. But let's talk about your experience with Time Magazine. Talk to us about your award. I saw all the pictures just beaming. Talk about what happened with Time Magazine.
Well, I was honored to be one of Time Magazine's closers this year. 2025 closers list is. I'm actually deeply honored to be a part of such an amazing group of inspiring leaders who are focusing on closing equity. And it was a beautiful event. And I would say that Time Magazine should really be applauded, because they had every opportunity to say, we're not going to move forward with this because it's diversity or it's equity and it's inclusion. It's like all the scariest words that, people are running away from. And Time Magazine chose to say that it was absolutely necessary to uplift and to celebrate those that are closing the gap, the racial equity gap. And shout out to Black women in leadership and voices. Sade Muhammad, who is the chief marketing officer at Time Magazine, was very much an inspiration. The W. Kellogg Foundation, also led by a bold, dynamic Black woman, and the people in that room, like Dr. David Johns and Dr. Monique Couvin, so many others that are on that list. The two amazing brothers with Earn Your Leisure, and so many who are closing the gap in various spaces. Gabby Thomas in health. It just really highlights that there is a critical need for equity work in this country. And there is a critical need, I believe, to continue to uplift those that are leading and doing that work. And so it was fun. It was a beautiful night. And it was nice, as you said, sis, to smile and to be amongst such an inspiring group of leaders.
Real quick, we talk a lot about on this program. We talked this earlier this morning about the extremely pointed person named Jasmine Crockett. I mean, she is as outspoken and as brave as they come. How proud are you of Jasmine? How proud are you?
I love Jasmine Crockett. She is my sister. She's my friend. She's my soror. And she is, to me, what we need in this country right now. She's very real. She's able to communicate very complex issues and procedures in a way that falls on the people where they can understand it and they can grasp it. She's incredibly smart and very, very, very much a hard worker. She works for her district and she works for all of us. And so when I see Jasmine, my heart feels joy. When I hear Jasmine, I am reminded of great leaders like Shirley Chisholm and Barbara Jordan, and a tradition of Black women who speak truth to power. And I think now more than ever, we need more and more Jasmine Crockett's. And we do have a multitude of strong Black women in the Congress, like Senators Lisa Blunt Rochester and Senator Angela Alston-Brooks, Representative Ayanna Pressley, and of course, one of the deans of the Congressional Black Caucus, Congresswoman Maxine Waters and Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. I could go on and on and on. The Yvette Clarke, who is the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. But I think when you see a Jasmine Crockett, you see so much of them in her. And I think she's inspiring the next generation of young Black women and Black people, as a matter of fact, that they too can have a space and a voice in this country, whether they are in Congress or local elected official, but most importantly, that you have to speak truth to power and not bite your tongue when you're doing it.
Mr.
Right.
Blunt Rochester, I had the pleasure of sitting next to her as we left the DNC on the plane. We both took the plane to Philadelphia, and we had a great conversation on the plane on that 2-hour flight. So it was pretty cool. And she is, like you said, she's all that. But I'll leave the last word to you, Niel, the two wonderful Black women on this panel.
Just thanks for joining us today, and we'll definitely be looking for you at the NAACP to celebrate you. And Sunday nights, right? Sundays
Yes,
with women, Black women.
Sundays, every other Sunday Win with Black Women. You can find Win with Black Women at www.winwithblackwomen.org. And we're on all socials. You can find us at Win with Black Women on Instagram. And you can always know that somewhere, whether she's in Win with Black Women or another great Black women-led organization, that there's Black women that are on the front lines, continuing the fight in the spirit of Harriet Tubman.
Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
JOTAKA EADDY, that was a fabulous conversation. Appreciate her taking out the time this morning, Neil. That was great. Any takeaways?
Just to be in community with Black women and Black men, as yourself representing, it's uplifting and it's hopeful. And like she said, we all have a space and a role. I mean, we don't have to get out there and do what we don't normally do, but we can continue to work in the capacities where we know we can make impact. Mine is here. And so I'm just so much more encouraged to keep doing what I'm doing in the space that I'm comfortable with. And that's helping get out the word and amplifying Black voices like JOTAKA.
That's awesome. And to see you two, I mean, I know I was in the conversation too, but to see you two conversate, that was pretty cool for me to be a part of. So I appreciate you for that.
My Tuesday's made. I feel like, I'm in alignment and where I'm supposed to be right now.
All right. So some Black history moments on this date. In 1865, Black soldiers marched into Charleston, South Carolina, and some of the first Union troops to enter the city were members of the United States Colored Troop on this date, back in 1865.
All right. And on this day in 1931, Toni Morrison was born. If you don't know, she's a novelist, editor, professor who won the Nobel Prize and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And so that's what happened on this day in 1931.
Well, I'll go back even further. And in 1903, Dahomey, the first full-length musical written, produced, and performed by Black people, opened on Broadway. How about that?
I like that. Arts. On this day in 1688, I'm going to go further back, closer to 1619. The first formal protest against slavery by an organized white body in the New World was made. The protest was made by Quakers in Germantown, Pennsylvania.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, the protest, dubbed the famed Germantown protest, denounced slavery and the slave trade. So we do have allies with white folks. We ain't Xing out all white folks.
Okay, we're not. Well, that is interesting in Pennsylvania. So, but we're going to bring it forward to 1959. Ray Charles on this date in 1959 recorded What I Say at Atlantic Records. Ray was already an accomplished R&B hitmaker, but this song finally broke Ray Charles into mainstream pop music. The song also ignited the creation of a new subgenre of R&B called soul.
Wow. Makes me want to go back and watch Ray with Jamie Foxx. Might have to do that. But on this day, what'd I say? Okay, on this day in 2016, the most popular president in the United States, which polls are saying today, on this day, President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama hosted a reception at the White House in recognition of Black History Month.
Wow. So the Obamas was the first, apparently.
Yeah. And I mean, they used to throw the best parties. Okay. I mean, the Biden
No, I know. You know why I know? Because I used to, when he was in office, I used to say, I used to call it the White, it was Def Jam every Friday night at the White House.
I mean,
like every Friday night.
The Biden administration did a good job, but there was no party like an Obama administration party because they put the soul in the black and blackity black. I loved it. It was great.
I was like, listen, Ice Cube and all of them had Snoop and all of them had keys to the White House. They didn't even have to go through security. When Obama was president, it was like every weekend there was a part. Stevie Wonder was there all the time, hanging out. I mean, I think those 8 years of Obama, Stevie Wonder probably could see because he was there all the time. He found his way to the White House. Come on now. They're giving us some look at that. See, and then of course Obama, of course, is really remembered for a lot of reasons, but for his rendition of Al Green's "Let's Stay Together." He was really good at that.
Wait a minute, he did crack the mic at that funeral. What hymn did he sing? Was it Precious Lord? What was the hymn he
Yeah,
sung?
yeah, yeah.
Amazing
I think
Grace.
it was.
It was
Was it
Amazing
that?
Grace. I
Okay.
think it was whatever. He take you to church, he take you to Soul Train, and he got the job done, okay?
Amazing Grace said, yeah, it was Amazing Grace. But that Al Green thing, even Al Green was impressed.
Mhm.
I think our viewers had a couple. They wanted to add
Oh,
something to
wait,
our
there's
Black
one
History
more.
moment.
Boy, you brought up Snoop, but last but not least, today is Dr. Dre's birthday.
Oh, he should be
West
in prison.
Coast producer,
He should be in prison.
Oh,
He should be in
well,
prison.
no, he shouldn't.
He got away with absolutely annihilating D Barnes. I will never forget
Um,
that.
I mean,
So,
I remember that, but I
listen,
mean, even if he would have
DL is
went to
all
prison,
West Side. she's all West.
but
See?
no, but no, what he did, that was totally wrong. But redemption is real, and even if he would have went to prison, he should have been out by now.
I guess you can make a case for it.
That's all.
Oh God! But Empress says on this date in 1818, Frederick Douglass was born. Trixie says Shanny Davis became the first Black to win an individual gold medal in Winter Olympic history. He captured the men's 1,000-meter speed skating race in Italy. So there you go. Black Cowboys. I see some about Black Cowboys. Bass Reeves. You watch Bass Reeves?
No, what? Oh, yes, I love that. Are they going to do a new season?
I don't know. I just seen someone mention, Trixie actually mentioned the real Lone Ranger may have been inspired by Bass Reeves, an African American man who escaped slavery during the Civil War. Yeah, I found it so intriguing,
Me
and
too.
they left you with pretty much a cliffhanger.
Right, like there was going to be another season, and I hope they
Right.
bring it back. It was on, if you guys haven't watched it, another history lesson. It's on Paramount, right? Is it
Paramount.
Paramount?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
No,
really
Paramount.
good. If you like westerns, this is the Black Western, really good.
Yeah, but I don't even think you have to like westerns to like Bass Reeves, because I think
You
it
have
it
to
just
have a
tells such a
little.
Yeah, maybe a little, but it really tells an amazing story of this Black
Mhm.
man. Like they said, escaped slavery, and then he became a man of law.
And his
And
daughter was a badass too. I liked his daughter too. She didn't take no mess.
so that's pretty much where they left the cliffhanger, though, right?
Mhm.
That was part of it anyway. What was going to happen? She it was her and her boyfriend or something that got into a fight with
Well, she got
with
into
the
a
white.
fight. The boyfriend stood there, but she was like, "You
That's
may
right.
not talk to me
That's
like that."
That's right. That's right. So, they gotta do more Bass Reeves. We need
Yeah,
to know what
yeah.
happened.
We need to know what happened.
But it is Paramount, and, maybe they will, bring it back because sometimes they just wait until summertime or whatever, and they
I
start
love
bringing
it.
these
They're
things
throwing
back.
so many Black history facts. And of course, it's
Yes.
important for us to do this because they're trying to erase Black history. And we don't know what they're going to do with the National Archives. There's so much Black history because Black history is American history. And so we're going to have to protect that as well. The best way to do it is just to remind us that, how we've come this far by faith.
And that's right, and that's our job in the Black press too, right? Is
Right.
to help preserve Black history. Because you're right. We talked earlier about the National Archives, and where all that is headed. You articulated that extremely well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And you brought up Black newspapers. So there's one in a city near you. There's over 200 Black newspaper publications across the United States. And if you want to get the news online, Black Press USA, just log on. There are tons of stories there so you can find out what's happening across Black America.
And we can't list them all, but maybe each day we can give them a couple of newspapers to check out. Of course, the LA Sentinel. They all have websites. So you don't have to be, if you want to see the Sentinel, if you want to read the Sentinel, you don't have to actually go to LA and get a physical copy. You can go online and get the LA Sentinel. You can get the
Washington Informer.
WashingtonInformer.com, West Side Gazette, the Mississippi Link. I mean, no matter where you are, of course, we're from New York. I'm from New York. She's LA. The Amsterdam News has always been a staple. It was a must that you got the Amsterdam News, no matter you got the Times, Daily News, the Post. It had to be accompanied by the Amsterdam News, and that was a must.
Don't forget the big one, the Chicago Defender.
The historic.
The Chicago Defender was big because it used to be the paper that they used to read on the trains coming from the South going to the Midwest. And so that was the paper that they read. So
there you go. There you go. So no matter where you are, you can go online and see a local Black owned and operated newspaper and get news about your community that you probably won't get on CNN or in the New York Times. So
right. That's why we're here daily. Tell a
Yep.
friend, y'all. Tell a friend about Let It Be
Right.
Known. Brought to you by Black Press USA. Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Tell them to go to the Black Press. The Let It Be Known News YouTube page and hit subscribe. You got to subscribe. Come on, it's free. It's very much free. So just hit subscribe and we'll be all right.
We'll be all right.
Thanks, Niele. And another day in the books, and we'll see what today brings. Like you said, it comes at you fast. So we'll see what happens when we join you again tomorrow. Peace out. H-Town. See you tomorrow.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound